This is not just about me. If I gotta fight for all of us, I will, but I won't let the court systems just walk over me. I won't let Jay-Z, I won't let no one just walk over me and tell me something because y'all just saying this. I want the truth. And if we can't go to the Supreme Courts, the regular courts, to find out the truth, what are they here for?
Yeah, all right, we'll get to the legal things that you've been through, the battles.
This was never just about one person. If I have to take on this fight for every single one of us, then that's exactly what I'll do. I refuse to let the system silence me. I refuse to let Jay-Z or anyone else step on me and rewrite the story with their money and influence. I'm chasing one thing and one thing only: the truth. And if the lower courts won't deliver it, if even the Supreme Court wants to turn a blind eye, then what is justice really worth anymore? The courtroom didn't feel like a room. It felt like a storm waiting to break. The silence wasn't calm, it was suffocating, the kind of silence that makes your heart pound because you know something irreversible is about to happen. Then came the moment. The judge leaned forward, eyes steady, and read the results that shattered the illusion. DNA confirmed what Jay-Z had spent years denying and millions trying to bury. He is the father of reexamined. The gallery didn't just gasp, they erupted. The sound wasn't polite shock. It was raw, almost primal, like the air had been punched out of the room. And there he was, the billionaire, the empire builder, the man who once stood untouchable above every scandal. Jay-Z slammed his fists on the desk, his voice cracking with rage as he tried to drown out the undeniable truth. In that instant, he wasn't an icon. He wasn't the architect of Rock Nation. He was a man trapped in his own lie, exposed for the world to see. "I'm not a criminal. I'm not unstable. I just want the truth," the accuser pleaded, voice trembling yet fierce. And every step of the way, it feels like the courts are protecting him. Jay-Z could have ended this years ago, but instead he let it rot. And now here we are. We've seen powerful men sweat before, but never like this. Jay-Z's entire empire was built on precision, control, and the illusion that he was always 3 moves ahead. But in that courtroom, as his face contorted with fury and panic, the mask slipped, the myth collapsed, and what was left was not the king of hip-hop, but a man cornered, fighting shadows he could no longer outrun. For years, Jay-Z's lawyers moved like a shielded army. Every motion, every filing, every delay was a carefully staged performance designed to bury the truth. Court documents sealed, hearings dragged out, public statements polished to perfection. Anytime Rhee's name came up, it was brushed aside like meaningless gossip, treated as nothing more than noise. But with one ruling, that fortress cracked. His walls of power and influence collapsed in an instant. No carefully crafted lyric, no glossy photo op, no billion-dollar partnership could save him. The secret he swore would stay buried had erupted into a global headline. The real shock wasn't just the DNA results. It was the destruction of the myth he and Beyonce had built. For over a decade, the Carters projected themselves as untouchable royalty, music's first family. But beneath the crown were fractures. The cheating confessions disguised as an album rollout. The elevator fight that turned into a worldwide meme before it was ever explained. And now this, a son hidden in the shadows, suddenly dragged into the light, forcing everyone to ask, if he lied about this, what else has been buried behind the velvet curtain? Fans never forgot that infamous moment. Jay-Z being pummeled in an elevator by his sister-in-law Solange. And what did his loyal audience do? Nothing. They laughed. They turned his humiliation into memes. The myth of invincibility was already fading long before the gavel hit the desk. And then came the whispers about Beyonce's role. According to insiders, she wasn't blindsided at all. She had known. For years. Her command was silence. Protect the children, protect the brand, protect the empire. Keep the Carter dynasty untouchable. But silence isn't free. And when the courtroom stripped it all bare, sources say Beyonce issued the harshest ultimatum of their marriage. Fix this mess or risk losing not only the empire but her too. That wasn't a lover's quarrel. That was a nuclear warning. One that threatened the very core of the most powerful union in entertainment. But the story didn't stop there. While the ink on the DNA report was still fresh, another ghost emerged from the shadows. A former Rock Nation insider, someone close enough to glimpse the secrets money was meant to erase, whispered about a second skeleton. And her name sent shockwaves. Latasha. Latasha, a 28-year-old from Maryland, has been shouting the truth for years, that Jay-Z is her father. She branded herself online as Jay-Z's first daughter, writing, "I've been silent too long." And she wasn't alone. Her family echoed her claims, with her own sister going public, saying she personally introduced Jay-Z to Latasha's mother. If Ree's existence shattered the Carter fortress, Latasha's story threatened to burn it completely to the ground. This wasn't internet gossip or some faceless blog post. This was testimony in flesh and blood. The kind you can't delete. The kind that doesn't fade with a press release.
We'll get to
and the
legal
accusations
things
weren't
that you've been through, the
limited to
battles.
fatherhood. Behind the curtain, industry whispers painted a darker picture. Sources claim Jay-Z had quietly bankrolled Latasha's silence for years, allegedly buying her a home in Cambridge, Maryland, and keeping her comfortable under one unspoken condition. She could never publicly call him father. A deal not written in ink but in secrecy. Not signed by lawyers but sealed with hush money. Whispered payments that traded truth for silence. Even voices from Jay-Z's past began to murmur. Former friend and state property artist Ashino hinted that this arrangement was real, suggesting the mogul didn't erase his secrets. He put them on retainer. If true, this wasn't just about one child. It was about a pattern. A dynasty stitched together not by loyalty, but by payoffs and cover-ups. And the chilling question loomed. How far back does the deception go? Jay-Z, of course, didn't sit quietly. He fired back in legal filings, branding Ramir's camp as harassers, accusing them of orchestrating a decade-long campaign to destroy him. In the studio, he turned denial into bravado, rapping dismissively, "The kid ain't mine," echoing Michael Jackson. But a punchline doesn't hold up under oath. When the federal court read the papers this time, no beat, no verse, no clever rhyme could shield him. Ramir was the first domino. Latasha threatens to collapse the rest. And looming above it all is the Carter brand itself. If Beyonce stood by him through this, knowing, watching, even protecting, it doesn't look like loyalty anymore. It looks like complicity. And the image of empowerment she carefully cultivated begins to sour into something darker. Silence as strategy. Latasha's own words made it impossible to ignore. "My mom never changed her story. Not once. She always stood on the same name. And now I'm grown, I believe her, because she never lied to me." The heartbreak wasn't just in her claim. It was in the quiet conviction of a daughter who grew up believing the father she never knew was one of the most powerful men in the world. The betrayal cuts deep because Jay-Z has always branded himself as authentic. The kid from Marcy who rose to billionaire status by being real, relentless, and unapologetic. But how authentic can you be when your life reads like a sealed court file? Fans are no longer nodding to his lyrics. They're scrolling through Latasha's Instagram, comparing her jawline to his, stunned by the resemblance. The truth isn't written in paperwork. It's written on her face. And all of this unfolds while Jay-Z's name is already entangled in the darker corners of the industry. Lawsuits, scandals, whispers of associations with fallen icons and their crimes. Every headline chips away at his armor. Ramir's DNA test cracked the facade. Beyonce's alleged ultimatum tightens the noose. And Latasha's voice resurfaces like a match tossed into gasoline. The question now isn't whether Jay-Z can survive this scandal. It's whether there will be anything left of the empire when every secret he tried to bury steps out into the light. For years, he styled himself as more than a rapper. He was a mogul, a visionary, a man who sat beside presidents and pushed for justice, scholarships, and reform. He became a symbol of progress, a voice above the chaos of hip-hop. But strip away the speeches, the philanthropy, the polished interviews, and the contradiction is damning. How can a man who demands transparency from others refuse, for over a decade, to take a simple DNA test? How can someone who preaches loyalty and family abandon blood relatives who carry his features in their reflection? That hypocrisy is now the wildfire burning through his legacy. Every interview where he held himself up as a role model, every lyric that painted him as a leader, now echoes like irony. Fans who once saw him as the blueprint are left staring at the cracks, wondering if the empire was always built on secrets instead of truth. The betrayal here isn't just about secret children. It's about hypocrisy on a monumental scale. It's about selling the world an image of truth, loyalty, and accountability, while living behind smoke and mirrors. Fans aren't just asking, did he lie? They're asking, if this has been hidden for years, then what else about the Carters has been staged? And that's where the ripple effect begins. This isn't just about Jay-Z the rapper. This is about the Carter dynasty, the billion-dollar empire that stretches across streaming platforms, fashion houses, endorsements, charities, and political stages. Together, Jay-Z and Beyonce have been carefully packaged as modern-day royalty, the untouchable power couple who could do no wrong. But when a crack forms in the king's armor, the queen feels the tremor too. Beyonce's silence has been deafening, and silence in moments like this screams louder than any statement. Every Instagram post, every red carpet glance, every caption is dissected by millions searching for hidden meaning. Is she furious behind the scenes? Is she plotting her own exit? Or is this the first glimpse of a marriage unraveling? One that could topple not just their union, but the very brand they've spent decades building. The stakes couldn't be higher. Ivy Park isn't just athleisure. It's a global brand tied to multi-million-dollar contracts with some of the most powerful corporations in the world. Roc Nation isn't just a label. It controls careers, manages sports empires, and shapes worldwide campaigns. Their combined brand value is staggering, and it all hangs on one fragile illusion: a spotless, unbreakable image. If that illusion collapses, the fallout won't just be gossip columns. It'll spread into boardrooms, endorsements, and billion-dollar partnerships. What was once the image of invincibility suddenly looks breakable. And in a world where reputation is currency, fragility isn't just dangerous, it's deadly. Once Diddy's scandals lit the fuse, fans began whispering the same chilling phrase: Jay-Z is next. And with every passing day, new oxygen feeds the fire. What once felt like isolated rumors now looks like a pattern. We've already heard from Latasha in Maryland. Family claims, financial whispers, a secret home tucked away like evidence no one was supposed to find. Ramir's DNA confirmation was the first domino. Latasha could be the second. And the world is left asking, how many more are lined up behind them? The rumor mill hasn't just woken up, it's roaring. Old lyrics are being replayed, studied like coded confessions. Old interviews sound less like jokes and more like evasions. That smug line, "The kid ain't mine," no longer lands as bravado. It sounds like desperation carved into a beat. Even his former associates, once silent, are suddenly unafraid. They're connecting timelines, hinting at stories that could explode into headlines at any moment. Every buried skeleton is being dragged into the open. And with the storm already raging, each one feels like the next bomb waiting to drop. The danger here isn't just about reputation, it's about history. Jay-Z has spent decades carving himself into the culture. A mogul, a visionary, the architect who turned street hustle into corporate boardroom power. But history is fragile. We've seen giants fall before. One scandal erasing decades of empire. If the narrative shifts from business genius to serial deceiver, the stain won't just mark Jay-Z's legacy. It will unravel the myth of Jay-Z himself, the man who once claimed to be bigger than hip-hop. And then there's Beyonce. The silence around her is deafening. She alone holds the key to stabilizing or detonating the dynasty. If she stays by his side, she risks being branded complicit. Her silence reinterpreted as betrayal of her own brand of empowerment. If she walks away, it signals to the world that even she, the woman who endured past betrayals, has finally reached her breaking point. Insiders whisper the ultimatum has already been drawn. Fix this mess or lose her for good. Imagine the earthquake if the most powerful couple in music fractures under this cloud. Every endorsement, every brand partnership, every dollar tied to the Carter name would be shaken to the core. And here's the part no one dares say aloud. The Carters are known to protect their empire at any cost. But pressure, silence enforced like currency. To speak against them is to invite the weight of their power. And yet more voices keep rising. This is no longer about a single DNA test. It's about the unraveling of a story crafted too perfectly for too long. Each allegation is a stone ripped out of the foundation. Each insider whisper feeds the fire. Each silence from Jay-Z and Beyonce leaves the world wondering, what else is lurking in the dark? If one hidden child can destabilize a billion-dollar dynasty, what happens if two or more step forward? What does it do to a man to live decades in denial, suppressing the truth of his own bloodline while preaching loyalty in his lyrics? The walls Jay-Z built with lawyers, lies, and lyrics are closing in. And with every crack the pressure grows. The question is no longer whether the truth will come out. It's whether he can survive when it finally does. Carrying the weight of secrets corrodes even the strongest minds. We saw it in his courtroom outburst, in the cracks of anger replacing his usual calm. A man who once thrived on control now looks undone by the very lies he swore would protect him. Which raises the question, was the Carter empire ever built on solid ground, or has it always been shadowed by silence and denial? And then there's Beyonce, standing on the red carpet, flawless under the flashbulbs, smiling beside legends like Aaliyah. On the outside, elegance, perfection. Behind the curtain, a woman carrying fractures in silence. Imagine the strain of smiling through betrayal, of performing perfection for millions while privately knowing her marriage is cracked at its foundation. The Queen of Composure has lived a double life. Her power and resilience weaponized to mask the fractures beneath. But even royalty can only wear a mask for so long. For Ramir, the wounds cut differently. From childhood to manhood, he's lived with whispers, with a void where acknowledgement should have been.
Yeah, all right.
To be told that your father is one of the
legal
most
things that you've
powerful
been
men
through, the
alive,
battles.
while that same man publicly erases you, creates a wound no settlement can heal. His fight wasn't for wealth. It was for legitimacy, for belonging. The scars of rejection last far longer than any headline. But secrets don't stay isolated. They spread like cracks through glass, touching everything. For Jay-Z, the obsession with hiding the truth may explain his mistrust, his paranoia, his hunger for control in every business deal. For Beyonce, perhaps it explains her meticulous perfectionism, the silence, the armor of image. For Ramir, maybe it explains why he chases music, stepping into the very world his alleged father dominates. The lie itself has become the defining force of their lives. Psychologists warn that lies multiply. One denial leads to a labyrinth of payouts, NDAs, cover-ups, evasions. For decades, the Carters spun that web tighter and tighter. But the human mind wasn't built to hold contradictions forever. Eventually, the truth breaks through. And when it does, the collapse isn't just public. It's personal, internal, shattering. And that's why this scandal resonates so deeply. It isn't just the fall of an empire. It's the unraveling of human beings, flawed and fragile, buckling under decades of deception. We're watching not only a public image crumble, but the private costs of living behind walls of silence. Broken trust, fractured identities, families torn apart by secrets too heavy to carry. Now, with the shadows pulled into the light, the question is no longer if the dynasty will break. It's when. Jay-Z's legacy teeters on the edge of erasure. Beyonce's loyalty is being dissected under a microscope. And the billion-dollar empire they built together shakes with every new revelation. So what comes next? Will this scandal be remembered as the storm that shattered hip-hop's royal couple? Or as the crucible they somehow survived? What do you think? Are we watching history's most powerful duo implode before our very eyes? Or witnessing the fight of their lives? Drop your thoughts below. And until next time, stay sharp, stay curious, and never forget, the truth always finds its way out.